Hello everybody, this is Unit 9, Video 8. It is our last video of our conics unit, and we're going to be writing equations of parabolas. So again, very similar to what we've been working on with all of our conics, our circles, our ellipses, and our hyperbolas, and our parabolas, but we know that parabolas only have one quadratic term, one quadratic variable that is, so we're going to have to pay close attention to that and make sure we put it in the right form. So let's get started. We're going to do two examples together. So before we start on example number 1, which is off of your video worksheet 8, I'm going to go ahead and write the two equations that are the formulas that we're going to be using. So we've got two different forms because we have parabolas that open in two different directions. So if I have a y equals, I might have y minus k equals 1 over 4p times x minus h quantity squared. Now this 1 over 4p is going to be like our coefficient, and it could be in any form, so we'll just have to keep working with that. And then we'll also have x minus h equals 1 over 4p, and that's going to be our y minus k quantity squared. So we'll have to identify as to which one they're going to be, but that should be pretty easy because only one of them is squared, and that's going to indicate to us right away which formula we're going to end up looking like. So for this first example, I've got a y squared plus x minus 2y plus 4 equals 0. And so I recognize that my y is the term that is squared, so I'm going to be writing this in the form that looks like our second one up here. So this is how it's going to end up. And as I go ahead and do that, I will have y squared minus 2y, and I'm going to move the x and the 4 to the other side. So that would be equal to negative x minus 4. Okay. I'm going to go ahead then and complete the square on the left-hand side by taking half of that middle term and squaring it. So I would be adding 1. And I'm going to make sure if I add it to the left side that I'm also adding it to the right side. Okay. Now this looks kind of backwards because I do have the y squared on my example or the formula up here on the right-hand side, but in this one it's on the left-hand side. And that really doesn't matter so long as we've got them separated. So this is going to give me the quantity y minus 1 squared equals a negative x minus 3. Now I'm going to factor out that negative 1 that I see in front of the x, and that's going to leave me here with quantity y minus 1 squared equals negative 1 times x plus 3. And I'm going to put that as my coefficient, and I want my coefficient in front of the squared term, so I'm basically going to divide both sides by negative 1. We know that's going to leave me with a negative 1 as my coefficient on the other side, but if it was something else, we'd want to make sure we wrote it appropriately on the other side, on the squared term. So this is going to leave me with negative 1 parentheses y minus 1 squared equals x plus 3. And there we have it. And I could, of course, switch that around to be x plus 3 equals negative 1 times y minus 1 quantity squared. Let's try another example together. All right, so for this one, which is number 2 off of your worksheet, again, we're going to move our x's together and move our y and stuff to the other side of the equation. But instead, let's actually keep that y minus 5 on the left side and move the squared term to the other side. So we'll just try it a different way. So I'm going to leave the y minus 5, and I'm going to add the other ones to the right-hand side. That works. Now I'm going to complete the square by taking half of the middle number and adding it to both sides. So I'll have y minus 5 plus 1 equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. That's completing the square. Y minus 4 equals the quantity of x plus 1 squared. There's nothing to move to the other side because I took care of that negative. Okay. Let's actually go ahead and try a third one so we can see what happens when we have a coefficient. So let's try number 3. I'll help you out with another one. Negative 2y squared plus x plus 24y minus 66 equals 0. That's on your paper. All right, so I kind of like the idea of leaving the linear term on this side, which in this case would be our x and our negative 66, and moving the squareds to the right-hand side. So let's do that. I'm going to change colors so you can see what my new stuff is. Okay, so, oops, that's yellow. I don't like yellow. Or orange. All right, so x minus 66 is going to stay, and then the 2y squared minus 24y is going to go to that side. I'm going to factor out the 2 that's in front of my y squared because I need to be able to complete the square. So I will factor out the 2, giving me y squared minus 12y. And half of that squared is going to be 36. But remember, on the other side, I'm not just adding 36, I'm actually adding 72. If this was a negative 2 that I was factoring out, I'd have to remember that I'm actually subtracting 72. But it's positive, so we're adding. So I'm going to have x minus 66, but I'm going to add on my 72, and that came from 2 times 36. So over here, if I look at that, I'm going to have x plus 6 equals 2 times the quantity of y minus 6 squared. And that is my final answer. All right, so your job then is to finish numbers 4, 5, and 6 on your worksheet. And also to go ahead on to Schoology and try entrance slip number 8. It's our last entrance slip for the unit. And make sure that you feel confident that you'd be able to write the equation of a parabola in standard graphable form after watching this video. Great job!